everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Design Your Dream Life. And I'm so excited that you're here with me. And what we're really passionate about is helping you design an amazing life and an amazing business that works for you. And I know the struggle can be really real. I know it can be really hard to be an entrepreneur and go all in on your business, go all in on yourself. What we're doing today is intentionally creating that life on purpose that works for you, where you can create that business that you want, the financial freedom that you want, the lifestyle and time freedom that you want, and really show up purposefully and powerfully in your business to create that. And I want to welcome you. Excuse me, some of you may not know me. My name is Karishma, and I'm a transformational speaker and a women's empowerment coach. And I have worked in the leadership development space since over 20 years now, 15 years in corporate America, and the last 5 years alone in entrepreneurship. And I'm really passionate to help you create the business with the lifestyle freedom, with the fulfillment that you desire. And my partner Jeet joins me in our brand, our business called Live Your Legacy. He's a multifamily real estate investor, has been serving real estate investors in the last 7 years alone. And together, our mission is to help you create your life like a living, breathing legacy. And we know too well this notion of sacrifice to create that dream business is an old notion. And we know that there's a way to create that business on your terms, the life on your terms. And today, our objective is to really help you design your dream life. So who here, drop a yes in the chat below, wants a dream life? Go ahead and drop down in the chat. Do you want that dream life, that life on your terms, business on your terms? And go ahead and drop a yes in the chat. And then take a moment to reflect on the feeling. What is the feeling of that dream life? And go ahead and connect that feeling. What is that feeling? And yes, I see the responses, the feeling of peace, the feeling of joy, the feeling of fulfillment, and all those things. And it's interesting, I probably had over 750 sales calls alone in the last 4 years, but everyone across the board that's an entrepreneur that I am faced with, they all say they want a peace of mind, that business is intended to give them control over their life, control over their destiny, and give them peace of mind. So in order to create that which we want, that life and business with that peace of mind, in order to create that and move forward, we need to break down the 3 reasons that people don't, that entrepreneurs don't have that life on purpose. 3 reasons why they don't have that dream life. And the reasons why, let's go down into each one. I'm going to kind of tell you all what those are high level and then break them down even deeper. Okay. Reason number one, they're stuck. They feel stuck in either a W-2 or they feel stuck in being able to grow their business. Okay. So there's some level of like stuckness in transitioning out from a W-2 entirely or growing and scaling that business. So there's some sort of like glass ceiling, some kind of wall. Okay. Number 2, no time. Number 2 is no time creating constant overwhelm. Okay. No time creating constant overwhelm. We're going to go into these in just a few minutes deeper. And number 3, you're stuck in some kind of fear. There's some kind of fear that's holding you back, some sort of analysis paralysis, some kind of like not moving forward because of fear, because it's like literally feels like something paralyzing you from the inside. It's preventing you from going farther. So let's explore each of these even deeper. And we're going to go into reason number 1. You find yourself stuck either in a W-2 where you're not sure how to transition into a full-time entrepreneurship, or you already are a full-time entrepreneur, but you're not growing and making that business. You're not creating those numbers that you want. You don't have that lifestyle freedom that you want, and you find yourself stuck in that. Either way, right? Whether you're in the W-2 and you don't want to be, and you want to transition out, or you're in a business and you're not meeting the numbers, you're not meeting the goals, you're not, being able to create that which you want. Either way, do you see, no matter where you are, you feel less than, right? There's a feeling of less than. There's a feeling of, oh my God, I'm not doing what I want to do. And why is this a problem? So let's kind of break this down. Let's go even deeper into this. Why is there a feeling of less than when it comes pertaining to accomplishments, pertaining to where you should, quote unquote, should be in order to be okay? And let's really break down that mindset and kind of the conditioning behind it. Okay. So, our entire lives, we've been taught there's something outside of us that is needed in order to be safe. Okay. And there are also conditions that are needed in order for us to be, quote unquote, good enough. And let's really examine this W2 world of ours. So, W2 world teaches us, hey, there's safety outside of us. There's safety outside of us. And from the time that we're very little, and this feeling, this notion of there's safety outside of us, right? And so many of us entrepreneurs have held on or are holding on to our W2 businesses and jobs too long because there's a feeling of like, I need this to be okay. I need something outside of me to be okay. But this notion of something outside of me needs to be there in order to be okay starts at a very young age. So from the time that we're very young, we are taught, hey, you need to be graded on efforts by someone outside of us, right? Like someone outside of us is determining, yes, you're okay. This looks like a C. This looks like a B. This looks like an A. And someone outside of us is deciding, are we good enough? Are we valuable enough? Are we competent enough? Okay. And then what happens is if you look at these traits of, what it means to be a good girl, a good boy, and I'm starting at a very young childhood age, there's characteristics of what it looks like to be a good boy or a good girl. And what do you think are those characteristics? So let's drop some of those in the chat. So pertaining to your gender, what are some of these traits of being a good boy or a good girl? Go ahead and drop them down. Okay, so I'm seeing, okay, you have to be compliant, to follow the rules, not make a mess, color inside the lines, take responsibility, you take care of everybody else, be able to have it all together, be able to take care of everybody else, right? You see all these rules that are created in place that we decided at a very young age that we need to comply with. And then let's connect that with some of the rules of being a good W2 worker. Okay, even if you don't have a W2, what were some of the rules that needed to be there in order for you to be a good, compliant W2 worker, in order to be competent enough to get the raise, to be able to get the accolades? How did you need to be? Okay, and some of these responses, I'm just reading out loud, is I had to be the yes person. I had to be the problem solver. I had to overextend myself. I had to figure it out. I have to know everything. I have to be in charge. And do you see that these characteristics, I have to have it all together. I have to know everything. I have to solve everything. I have to do everything. Are you starting to see where I'm going? That some of these rules from the W2 world that were ingrained in us at a very young age are actually contributing to us staying, quote unquote, like using that safety and security outside of us. All right, and I'm hope we can see that. So take a second in your journal, and I want you to write down one thing in your business that you haven't done. What is one thing in your business that you haven't done, that you know that you should be doing? What is one thing you know that you should be doing that you haven't done and you've known for a long time? So go ahead and identify that for yourself. And then identify the rules that you're abiding by. And maybe the rule is, I'm afraid others are going to judge me. Maybe the rule is, I'm afraid they're going to think I'm a failure. Maybe I'm afraid that family, society, friends are going to question me. I'm afraid of asking for money. Like, oh my God, what if I'm an imposter, right? Just identify what is that you know that you should be doing, and like what potential rule could you be holding yourself back with, these unwritten rules that we all have. Okay. Reason number 2, that you don't have time and you're finding yourself in constant overwhelm. And what happens is, if we're in this rat race of doing, and working harder and harder and harder, which we identified a few minutes ago as a very W2 characteristic, do you see how often we don't have the time for those big needle moving activities, right? Those big needle moving activities. So the very thing that you should be doing in your business, the networking, the sales, the connection, all of those are not being done because you can't make time for what is absolutely important and necessary. And because you don't have time, you're energetically zapped and you're in constant overwhelm. Okay. But I'm here to tell you that one of the main reasons that we're overwhelmed is, again, going back to number one, where if you're the yes person, you're the one responsible for doing it all together, getting everything done, get everything solved, all the things, being that yes person, do you see how that contributes to your overwhelm? That actually makes it worse, not makes it better. Okay. So that feeling of overwhelm and not having time, the real reason for it underneath it all is being a yes person. Again, going back to what is expected and what is compliant. Reason number three, why you probably haven't created that lifestyle and freedom that you want is because of some level of fear. Okay. And again, all three of these are connected. So we believe that safety is outside of us, right? So often we go into social media, we follow influencers, we follow certain people, and we put people on pedestals without knowing the whole story and say, you know what, this person's successful. That person's a perfect spouse. That person's a perfect business person. That person is the perfect parent. And all our entire lives, we spend so much time and energy comparing ourselves to some unattainable standards of success. And what's interesting or important to realize is a lot of times what we see on social media is not the real picture. It's not real. We have no idea what happens behind closed doors. And so what happens, and now we're constantly questioning ourselves, constantly comparing ourselves, and it just adds to that fear and doubt. And it contributes to greater overthinking. I have to figure it out. I have to figure it out. What if I'm not smart enough? And all the things. But I'm here to tell you that very same thinking that creates the problem is usually not the same thinking that has the solution. And we have a very narrow focus of the world. And a lot of times we can't even see our own blind sides. We cannot even see our peripheral. And that solution may be right there outside that narrow window that we have. And a lot of times we're playing the same wires over and over again because we don't have the vision, we don't have the ability to see outside of ourselves. And it just creates a massive loop. Okay. So again, summarizing the three main reasons why most people haven't created their lives and business on purpose is one, is this idea of safety and security outside of us that we've been conditioned in our whole life, resulting in stuckness. Two, having no time created greater overwhelm. And the real reason for that being because on some level we're complying to what society deems to be a good person, a good girl, a good mom, a good dad, and all the things. And reason number three is that there's some level of fear that probably is creating some sort of analysis paralysis, and it just gets exacerbated or increased by comparing ourselves to the other. And so here we are, most of us in our businesses, just doing the same thing over and over again, in the rat race, never getting out. So how do we shift to the other side to design that dream life? And so in order to do that, we must take a second to reiterate the key characteristics of a CEO. Let's talk about what a CEO mindset is, okay? The first thing is this abundance mindset. Okay, so in order to be a CEO, we have to have an abundance mindset. And there's a very powerful reframe, a very powerful shift that says, how is this going to make me money? Not how much is it going to cost me, right? Where instead of looking at what is a depletion, we're looking at what is the expansion that is possible. Second characteristic of a CEO is, are you laser focused on the grander prize, on the great vision, right? Not stuck in the day-to-day, but the focus on the greater vision. Third, are you a decision maker? Are you a powerful decision maker? Fourth, do you lead with confidence? Confidence is so important. And a lot of times in closing deals, closing clients, closing people. One of the biggest things I've learned over time is it's that quality of certainty, owning who you are, leading with confidence that makes such a difference. Fifth, focusing on growth. Are your values aligned with growth and hiring the right people? Asking yourself, who is the right who that will help you meet your goals? It's not about, do I have to figure it out, but who can help me figure it out? Next, who are you surrounded with? Do they think in a way that aligns with what I want and allows me to show up as that powerful CEO in my business? And last but not least, a CEO designs their business intentionally. So they're not in it, essentially designing themselves out of the business. I'm going to say that one more time. A powerful CEO designs their business intentionally. So they're not actually in it. So essentially, they're designing a business without them being in it. So it runs without themselves. So that business runs without you. And what's fascinating to me is how we show up in one area of life is how we show up in others. How we show up in one area of life is how we show up in every area of life. And what's amazing is when we start shifting in how we show up in our business, how we show up in our life, how we show up everywhere, that ripples into everything and creates massive miracles everywhere. And because everything is energy, now we're creating this amazing state of expansion, certainty, and trust. So how do we get to the other side, and how do we practice designing and living that dream life? Let's talk about that. 3 ways to design that dream life. Step number 1, practicing intentionality in your business. Practicing intentionality in your business. So really being clear, what do I want? And this is the magic formula. And what is the feeling of that which I want? Okay, what do I want? What is the feeling of that I want? And I want you to just take a second, write it down for yourself. 2 years from now, I want a business that allows me what? That generates what? And I want you to think about income, impact, and contribution. How much do you want to make? How many lives do you want to help? And how much do you want to give away? So go ahead and take a moment to recognize that or identify that for yourself 2 years from now. And then what is the feeling of that which you want? What is the feeling of that which you want? And go ahead and identify that. So we have to ask ourselves, what do I want my business and my life to look like? How do I do it where my team is there and I can step away from the business and the business doesn't stop? What is that metric for success? What is that metric? Is it the number of deals? Is it a dollar amount? Is it number of clients that you want to have in your business? So being really clear, I'm giving you a framework for which to identify this. We talked about what is the feeling of that which I want. So when I think about my dream business, it evokes the feeling of what? What does that lifestyle look like? Do you want to be working 50 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 60 hours a week? How is that going to happen? What does revenue specifically mean in my business? And this is really important. So if you're, let's say, a single family real estate investor, and I've worked with a lot of real estate investors, how many deals does that mean? If you're in multifamily and you're dealing with land, it's a very different number. If you're dealing with apartment buildings, a very different number. If you're a coach, if you're thinking revenue and sales, what is that dollar amount? What is your offer? How many offers do you need to sell per month in order to make that dollar amount? Are you guys with me? Okay, so the key is to be hyper-focused and intentional. Number 2, so number 1 was being really intentional and practicing intentionality fully. Step 2, to embody and to create that dream life, is really showing up the habits, behaviors, and showing up as a powerful CEO. So are you focused on and practicing the needle moving activities? Is 80% of the activities that bring you deals and make you money? Are you focusing on 80% of activities that are needle moving activities that bring you clients, bring you money, allow you to show up? Is your time spent in your business on what's actually worth your time? So for example, if you're looking to make, let's say 250K in your business, do you see how if you want to work 20 hours a week, that time that you spend in your business has to be worth $5,000 to $10,000 an hour? Are you guys with me? Okay, so it takes a lot of courage in order to step into that which we are. Okay, so it takes courage to let go of that old worker bee mindset so you can work harder, smarter, not harder. You have to have courage to put yourself first and start saying no to everything that doesn't matter and yes to those things that do. And instead of chasing deals like everyone else, if you want that peace of mind, you want a business that comes to you, flows to you, we have to learn to shift from grinding it out and hustling to attraction mode, to attracting the deals, attracting the clients, attracting everything. And step number three, or way to cultivate that amazing CEO mindset, is to cultivate certainty, to cultivate confidence. And the biggest misnomer is that you have to be a certain way to be successful. And I'm here to tell you and ask you, when you see somebody on social media and you're like, wow, they're really successful, do you really know what's going on? Are we buying into the image of them, or is that actually real? Does your business reflect you and your gifts and what you're great at? And ultimately, what it boils down to is commitment, consistency, repetition. Okay, certainty is cultivated when we have the courage to show up. Are you getting consistent feedback from others, or are you still in the mental hamster wheel? Are you working on your certainty? Are you working on your sales mindset so you're comfortable asking for the money, deals, and partners? Are you doing the inner work so you can show up confidently and demand your true worth and value? Are you showing up in attraction mode? And are you sharing vulnerably and uniquely so you are memorable and actually in a state to be able to attract deals to you? And I'm here to tell you the cold hard truth that everyone wants a business and everyone wants the freedom that it promises. But most of us don't have the courage to follow through. Most people will sit in the mental chatter without getting feedback from someone who truly can see the great path forward for them. Most people don't have accountability. And just like a gym, when you get amazing results, when you show up with a trainer, and even better results when you have a trainer, an accountability buddy, you're practicing healthy habits every single day, we have to show up in a way that allows us to succeed. We have to ingrain ourselves with those successful habits for business, successful habits for life, and work on our inside to cultivate that inner certainty inside of us. And ultimately, what does it take? It takes commitment. Commitment to think bigger, commitment to honor yourself, commitment to give yourself permission to step out of your comfort zone. It takes consistency in showing up. Again, we talked about habits. We talked about how to show up. We talked about needle moving activities. We talked about consistency in saying yes to the right things, consistency in saying no to the wrong things, and consistency in showing up and getting feedback from someone outside of you. And massive accountability. Massive accountability is huge, because now, just like when you go to the gym and you show up once in a month, or you show up like everyone else does on January 1st, showing up January 1st is not going to create massive results. But now if you join an accountability group, you have a personal trainer, you've got a tribe, you've got a routine, you've got people committed to outside of you, you're more likely to show up and have amazing results. So if you know that you're ready to go all into your business, and today is the day that you must show up differently. You're tired of playing small. You're tired of holding yourself back. You know who you are deep inside, and you're ready to show up into the infinite version of you. I'm talking to you. And if you're ready to be supported to take your existing business and scale it, create more dollars, create massive income and impact, and more importantly, create that lifestyle of freedom that you want, the fulfillment that you want, the joy that you want, the time freedom that you want, I'm talking to you. So join me. And I'm inviting you, if this calls to you, to join me in my amazing accountability and my amazing unshakable tribe. I'm going to drop down here a link for a game plan call. And I want you to connect with me. I want to find out about you. Where are you with your business? Where do you want to go? How is it that we can help? What is it that you need? And if you're truly ready to take these next few quarters of your life and change them in such an amazing way, where you can start showing up authentically as yourself, you can let go of the imposter, you can let go of that inner voice that says no, and you have massive support and accountability from someone that is not afraid to tell you the truth, someone that's not afraid to light fire under you so you can show up and hit the ground running and be that version of yourself that you know is deep inside of you. I'm calling you to show up and step into that purpose-driven business for yourself. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time. Drop in the chat your greatest takeaways. And I look forward to seeing you and connecting with you shortly.